A sushi chain in Phoenix's East Valley, Arizona, has been embroiled in a scandal involving human trafficking. Yun Lao, a Chinese-American restaurant owner, stands accused of harboring dozens of undocumented immigrants, forcing them to work 7 days a week without rest and housing them in overcrowded conditions while withholding their wages. In early December, the U.S. Homeland Security Investigations and Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) raided the business, arresting Lau and two managers. Investigators described the operation as a sophisticated human trafficking scheme. Court documents state that Yun Lao and his two managers, Qing Liu and Zhen Liu, were charged with harboring undocumented immigrants and employing them illegally. The operation involved several Sakura Sushi locations in Gilbert, Mesa, Phoenix, and Akita Sushi in Scottsdale. The investigation found that approximately 31 undocumented immigrants were living in harsh conditions at homes across Mesa, Tempe, Scottsdale, and Gilbert. Most were from Latin America. While the housing was rent-free, the workers were paid far below the standard wage, with numerous deductions. They were transported daily in a white van and worked long hours without breaks. Lau admitted that he relied on a network extending into Mexico and Central America to bring in workers, claiming it was difficult to find people willing to take the jobs. Neighbors noticed strange activities as early as 2023. Brandy Foreman, a Tempe resident, recalled they had a white van and it would leave at 9 a.m. and come back at 9 p.m.-ish, right around dark with a van full of guys. They'd all walk in like this, looking down, no eye contact. I was just super uncomfortable with just the amount of guys and how nervous they looked. Another resident, Gary Gallagher, said they were very self-conscious. If you looked at them, they'd turn their back. You would never see them outside. Despite multiple reports, police found no evidence of illegal activity. It wasn't until March that ICE began its investigation. Undercover agents observed that Chinese employees were directing Latino workers who rarely interacted with customers. A former ICE agent stated that the scale of the operation far exceeded typical labor violations. During the raid, Lau's residence was also searched. His lawyer declined to comment. Several restaurants have since closed or suspended operations, and some employees are still working without management contact. Lau and Zhen Liu face charges for harboring undocumented immigrants and employing them, while Qing Liu is charged with harboring them. The 31 undocumented workers are being held as key witnesses. The three defendants are scheduled for a federal court hearing on December 30th, and the investigation continues. In cities like Los Angeles and New York, many new immigrants find their first job in Chinese-owned restaurants, often working off the books. The shared language and cultural familiarity make these restaurants a common choice for newcomers. Although their conditions are not as dire as those involved in this case, they still face tough circumstances.
In the video, we have Lao Zhang, a man from Hebei with a low level of education, just a middle school diploma. In September 2025, he arrived in Los Angeles after crossing the US-Mexico border. So where is he now? He works for a boss from Hunan at Fat Man Ding Plaza, earning $9 an hour. Lao Zhang, how's your living situation now? I live at the boss's house. You're living at your boss's house? Yes, I help take care of the kids. So, you take care of the kids in exchange for free housing? Yes. That's impressive, huh? Lao Zhang, back in China, even though he only has a middle school education, lives comfortably. He was in charge of a factory warehouse, but he didn't do much work. Now he's here, helping to chop ribs. He doesn't speak English, so he sticks to tasks he can handle. It took him about 3 days to learn how to chop ribs, with the boss showing him step by step. Now he's almost got it.
This worker washing dishes has been in Los Angeles for 5 years. Despite holding a master's degree, he has been washing dishes since he arrived. He works from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., putting in 16 hours days and earns around $10 an hour. He said he got divorced in his first year here. While it's unclear if he has U.S. legal status, it's likely he remains undocumented given his current situation. Fat Man Ding Plaza in Los Angeles once serves as the first stop for countless Chinese immigrants arriving in the U.S. The plaza housed Chinese restaurants, job agencies, barbershops, mobile phone stores, and other essential services for newcomers. It was also the place where many immigrants began to pursue their dreams. Reports have noted that since mid-2023, Los Angeles and Flushing have seen a large influx of undocumented migrants, making up 70 to 80% of the local job market. A staffing agency official said these workers have disrupted the labor market, with employers now favoring younger, stronger workers. As a result, older legal workers are finding it hard to get jobs. Positions like fry cooks, and drivers are now primarily filled by younger workers in their 20s and 30s. Additionally, the influx of these new workers has led to an increase in theft and fraud. Some individuals even teach others how to report employers hiring illegal workers in exchange for money. One employer said 8 out of 10 undocumented workers cause trouble. This has led many businesses to avoid hiring undocumented workers to prevent legal and financial issues. Undocumented workers are also prominent in the commercial truck, driving, and tour bus industries, adding to job competition and creating safety concerns due to language barriers and unqualified workers. A recent tragic car crash in Tennessee has brought attention to these issues. On December 9, 2025, a tragic multi-car collision occurred on the westbound I-40 highway in Tennessee. A tour bus empty of passengers rear-ended a semi-truck, triggering a chain reaction that killed 31-year-old American truck driver Kerry Smith and injured at least 2 others. The bus driver was a 54-year-old Chinese national, Yi Song-Huang. Investigations revealed that he was watching a video on his phone while driving and rear-ended Smith's truck at high speed. The truck lost control, hit a guardrail, and caught fire, killing Smith. The bus then swerved into an adjacent lane and was sideswiped by another semi-truck, eventually blocking the highway before being hit by a Volkswagen Jetta. The accident occurred just before the morning rush hour, leading to a large-scale closure of the westbound section of I-40 until the afternoon. Huang suffered only minor injuries and was arrested after the crash. Huang held a non-domiciled commercial driver's license issued by New York State on April 11, 2025. However, when questioned, he struggled to communicate in English, and the police had to use a translation software. Federal investigations revealed that Huang entered the U.S. illegally from the Mexico-U.S. border in 2023. The previous U.S. administration released him obtained a work permit and a social security number, which enabled him to apply for a commercial driver's license. Huang is facing charges of vehicular homicide and several other offenses with a $175,000 bond. The victim's family is preparing for a civil lawsuit. This incident has brought the issue of illegal immigrants holding commercial driver's licenses into national focus. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem stated, "Far too many innocent Americans have been killed by illegal aliens driving semi-trucks and big rigs, and yet sanctuary states around the country have been issuing illegal aliens commercial driver's licenses." Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy criticized the situation, saying, "The fact that this individual failed a basic English test also calls into question how he even got the license in the first place." He noted that more than half of the non-domiciled CDLs were issued unlawfully and gave the state 30 days to correct the issue or risk losing tens of millions in federal highway funds. He also called for a joint investigation into the English testing loophole with the New York DMV. The New York DMV denied the violations, claiming that the documentation met regulations at the time of application. However, federal audits show that nearly half of the foreign commercial driver's licenses in the state lacked effective English testing. This accident not only highlights issues with commercial driver's licenses, but also sparked widespread debate about illegal immigration. Many Chinese who enter the U.S. illegally, some fleeing persecution by the Chinese Communist Party, others seeking a better life, often take high risk. While the desire for a better life is understandable, illegal immigration is unacceptable. Under Trump's strict immigration policies, the risk of deportation is high. A recent case involving a Chinese father and son being deported serves as a vivid example. Fei Zhen, the father, and his 6-year-old son, Yuan Xingzhen, entered the U.S. illegally from Mexico in April 2025. They were discovered by Border Patrol in Dulzura, California. Fei Zhen claimed he fled China due to fears of torture, but immigration officers deemed his story unbelievable, and the immigration judge upheld this decision. Although Fei Jun had no criminal history and he and his son had been detained at least twice before. However, this time they were separated and detained. Immigration officials tried to deport them back to China twice but were refused. On November 26, they were arrested during a routine check-in at the ICE office in New York and were separated. Fei Jun was placed in an adult detention center and his son was sent to a child placement facility. The separation sparked protest, with over 200 people gathering at a Queen's Park holding signs that read, "Children are not political pawns and children should be in schools, not detained." Community activist Jenny Spector, who followed the case, revealed that Fei Jun had refused multiple times to return to China and his son. The prolonged separation caused immense pressure and eventually Fei Jun agreed to comply with the deportation order, hoping to reunite with his son soon. On December 17th, Fei Jun and his son were deported back to China. Spector confirmed their safety through friends and family. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin responded to media inquiries stating, "We are happy to report we were able to remove the family back to their home country." She emphasized, ICE does not separate families and noted that Fei Jun attempted to flee and refused to depart with his family, which violated the judge's deportation order. This deportation case has sparked heated discussions online. While many criticizes ICE's brutal enforcement and calls for the father and son to be released, others point out that the real issue is the illegal immigrants crossing the border with their child and refusing to cooperate with law enforcement. Some commentators online argue that the responsibility for this incident lies with Fei Jun, not ICE. A New York Times poll published in October found that illegal immigrants are not welcome, with most Americans questioning the methods but supporting deportation. A notable background to this case is the sharp rise in enforcement actions targeting illegal Asian immigrants across the U.S. A report released by the UCLA Asian American Studies Center in July revealed that arrests of Asian illegal immigrants nearly tripled from fewer than 700 between February and May 2025 to early 2000, compared to the entire previous year. The proportion of those arrested and convicted dropped from nearly half in the first 3 months of 2025 to less than a third by early June. The report also found that nearly a third of arrested Asian illegal immigrants came from China, over a quarter from India, and nearly a sixth from Vietnam. On December 22nd, the Department of Homeland Security announced that to encourage illegal immigrants to self-deport, the Trump administration would offer a threshold departure allowance, $3,000, and a free plane ticket for every illegal immigrant who voluntarily returns to their home country. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem stated, "Illegal aliens should take advantage of this gift and self-deport because if they don't, we will find them, we will arrest them, and they will never return." In May 2025, the Department of Homeland Security stated that the average cost of arresting, detaining, and removing an individual without legal status is about $17,000. Under Trump's immigration policies, the once bustling Fat Man Ding Plaza in Los Angeles has become a shadow of its former self. Recently, a blogger posted a video showing,
Brothers, behind me is the famous Fat Man Ding Plaza, the first stop for new immigrants to the US. I should say it's a symbol of a disappearing era. Do you know? This place used to be the first stop for countless Chinese immigrants arriving in the US, but now it's eerily quiet, making you feel uneasy. Over 20 years ago, it wasn't just a mall, it was a landing spot, an information hub, an emotional buffer for new immigrants. Whether you needed housing, a job, to exchange money, or to deal with paperwork, you could survive by just speaking Chinese. At its peak, it was filled with brokers, bubble tea shops, travel agencies, and law offices. But in recent years, fewer people have been here. Many agencies have moved or shut down. The route for illegal entry is now closed, especially after Trump's tighter border policies. Information is no longer centralized, and risks have greatly increased. New immigrants don't need this first stop anymore. They are directly confronted with reality. The decline of Fat Man Ding Plaza marks the end of an era.
The fall of Fat Man Ding Plaza isn't just the decline of a shopping mall. It reflects the shattered American dream for countless walking guests. From the tragic accident to the deportation of Fei Zhen and his son to the strict border policies, all of this signals the quiet end of the walk-in era that once drew people in, now closed off under the Trump administration's aggressive enforcement.